Hi everyone. So I am going to be giving this week's Dvar Torah. I hope everyone is well and managing with isolation. It's definitely not an easy time, but we can get through it. And we have to remind ourselves that it's not going to be forever. It's just a relatively temporary thing. I'm going to get into it. So this week's parsha is Vayikra. So it's the first parsha of the chapter of Vayikra, and it's called Vayikra. And it's about bringing sacrifices to God in the tabernacle, which is the portable temple in the desert. And Moses is basically in the desert giving instructions to Jews about how to do sacrifices, the requirements, and the reasons that they have to sacrifice. And sacrifice, interestingly, doesn't only have to be livestock. It can also be like grains, produce that they have, and stuff like that. The sacrifices would be given on the altar, and people would do sacrifices like for lots of reasons, not just for sins, also to try and become closer with God, and also like in happy times to thank God and stuff like that. I'm not going to bore you too much with the details of the parsha because, it's just sacrifice. It's not that interesting. But I want to try and get across some messages that are relevant to us and I think are important for us to take in our lives, especially now. I'm going to be speaking about like the coronavirus and how this unique situation can be applied to the idea of sacrificing. I know you've definitely heard a lot about the coronavirus, so this is like interesting, don't worry. So the idea of sacrificing is to give up something that you value for the sake of other considerations. So it's basically giving up something that is important to you, that you hold value to, in order to benefit someone else, something else, the betterment of other people. In the Torah, it's about the betterment of like becoming closer to God and that sort of thing. But in today's time, sacrificing can be seen as like giving up something that you hold important to benefit something else. I think just generally the idea of sacrificing is really important, like during this time, like this corona era that we're living in right now, because I think it's people's mental health is not as good as what it usually would be because they're socially isolated. They're not able to go to events that they previously enjoyed, do their activities that they previously were able to do, and it's quite a lonely time. And I think it's really important for all of us to not only look after ourselves, but to look after our friends and our family and really sacrifice our time and our energy to make sure that our friends and family are okay, and, try and uplift their spirits if they're not okay and stuff like that. I think it's really important to give of ourselves and be giving during this time. That's basically what I generally wanted to say about the idea of sacrificing in the time that we're living in right now. So I also wanted to mention what the word sacrifice means in Hebrew. So the word sacrifice means korban in Hebrew, and that comes from the Hebrew root word karuv, and the word karuv means close. Sorry. I think that's really interesting because the whole idea of sacrifice like basically means being close, being closer. So obviously in the Torah that would mean being closer to God, but I think in the COVID-19 era, the idea of closeness and sacrifice, like together, can be applied to being closer to others, and by sacrificing our time and our energy to ensure that others are okay, and trying to do more, be more giving, and really give of ourselves during this time, we as humanity are becoming closer, and enriching our relationships with others. And I think that's a really cool concept about how us giving of ourselves actually brings us closer and unites humanity. And I think that's quite special and a really cool message that we can take from this parsha. Also, my other point that I had was that sacrifices were often done as a community. So like, for example, in the Torah, if the Jewish nation sinned as a whole, they would come together and give a sacrifice to God together. So I think that's really cool, and I think it's really applicable to Habo and how we can react to the situation that we're in, like the coronavirus, because Habo really values collective responsibility and us being responsible for the Jewish community together instead of individually. Yes, individual responsibility is important, but I think it's really cool, the idea of us all coming together and all being responsible together for the way that we bring across our education and the way that we connect. And I think it's really, really important for all of us to unite and come together and be collectively responsible for Habo, and still bringing educational content to other people, and still connecting and enriching our Habo relationships and our other Jewish relationships, and being responsible as a Jewish community, coming together and getting through this. Because, to be honest, everything that's difficult in life is way easier if we all come together and all try and get through it. So yeah, that's my little Dvar Torah for this week. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope it wasn't too long. I babbled a little bit, but yeah.